Hello again. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, and today we're going to be talking about CDNs, or content delivery networks. So content delivery networks are one of those new, fancy, cool pieces of technology that are taking the world by storm, and everybody thinks they need them, but they really probably don't in a lot of ways. So what CDNs, basically the concept behind CDNs is the idea that you want to put your data, if you have a website or if you have any kind of web application, you want to put the data that your user is trying to pull as close to the geographic location of the user as possible, right? So even though we're using fiber optic networking that moves at the speed of light, if you have to pull data from San Francisco all the way to Baltimore, it is going to take longer than if you're going to pull data from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, right? So as you have all of these users all over the world, when they go to a website, if they can go to a copy or a version of the website that is physically closer to them, then the website will load faster, and that will be good for everybody. So there's a lot of different companies now that offer CDNs or the content delivery networks, and it's built into a lot of products nowadays. So if you hear something like CloudFront, which is the security service for websites, they have a built-in CDN. No, it's what is it called? Cloudflare? Anyways, they have it built in. Amazon has a CDN. Lots of these different companies have CDNs now, and the idea is basically that you're trying to put the data as close to the end user as possible. So let's go over to my little whiteboard now, so I can kind of give you an idea of what's going on here with these CDNs. So the idea, right, is so we have the planet. You have all of these users all over the planet, and if you have one web server in the middle, right, it takes all these users, when they go to your website, they have to physically go all the way to your website, and this takes a lot of time. So the idea with a CDN is this is a network. So think of this more like a SAN for the internet world, where it's like a mesh of storage devices for your data. And so what happens then with a CDN is they have all these data centers and servers all over the world. So what happens is, let's say you have your server here, you input your data into that connects to the CDN, and it replicates that data out to all of these other servers within the CDN, within that content delivery network. What that means then is, if I have a user here that wants to go to my website or wants to acquire data, instead of having to go all the way back to the main server, he can go to the computer that is closest to him, right? So that's basically all it is with a CDN, is again, think of it like a storage area network, only when you're dealing with like data on internet scale, right? So CDNs are used in a lot of different places. So nowadays, again, a lot of people use them for websites. A lot of video companies like Netflix now use them in order to distribute their data. And in some ways, it's a very good thing. So the first thing that I want to say with these CDNs, whenever you're going to be dealing with them, is the fundamental idea behind them is sound. It is faster to pull data from a server that is geographically closer to you. Again, if I am in Baltimore and I go to get a resource from a website, and I can pull that resource from Washington, D.C., it is going to be faster for me to get than if it's coming all the way from San Francisco. But what I will tell you is, for most websites, for most of you guys out there, this doesn't really matter that much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the latency or the speed difference between Washington, D.C. and San Francisco for most users is going to be relatively negligible. When CDNs really come into play, and this is something to realize, again, is whenever you're talking about technologies, whenever you're talking about deploying technologies, one of the things you have to think about is, what is your particular situation? So if you have geekbraindump.com, or if you have EliTheComputerGuy.com, you don't really need a CDN. Honestly, the amount of time it takes to get from point A to point B, it doesn't really matter that much. Where most of these CDNs really get used is in these big websites. So if you have CNN.com, if you have TechCrunch.com, if you have any of these, again, Netflix.com, if you have any of these, a big web content company, then this becomes more and more important. One of the things I want you to think about, though, is it's not necessarily more important, again, for that whole latency, that latency thing is very important. But with the content delivery network, again, as I talked about the content delivery network before, what this is very much like is a SAN, a storage area network. And so when we're talking about SANs, one of the most important things with SANs is that you have redundancy. So if one entire storage server fails, then data can be rerouted from somewhere else, right? So when you start thinking about a company like Netflix, or you start thinking about a company like CNN.com, they are going to need redundancy regardless. They are going to need a server room in Atlanta and San Francisco and Denver and New York in case a nuclear bomb goes off, in case a tsunami comes in case there is an earthquake. Basically, from their own business models, they need that redundancy and their reliability. And so if they have to build an infrastructure that's going to have that redundancy and reliability, then they can build in these CDN components. So it also increases the speed for when users go to use the website. So that's one thing to think about whenever you're thinking about these CDNs, is it's not one single thing. A lot of times, again, like everybody focuses like on these content and delivery networks, and it's all about, the speed from getting one picture from my server to the end user, and that's a big deal. And it's kind of like, that's a nice benefit. That is definitely a nice benefit. But realistically, it's more like you have an incredibly massive data infrastructure. And since you have to build out that data infrastructure anyway, you might as well design it in such a way that it gives more reliability or more speed to the end user, if you get what I'm saying there. So that's one of the things to be thinking about when you're thinking about these CDNs. Now again, when you're thinking about CDNs, these content delivery networks, if you're going to be using them, one of the important things to remember about the CDNs is actually, in fact, using them is not nearly as complicated as the system themselves. So a lot of people, when they start looking at CDNs and they're newbies, they're like, oh no, how am I going to configure this, right? They're looking at it and they're like, how do I configure this? There's going to be servers in San Francisco, and there's going to be servers in New York, and there's going to be servers in Denver, and there's going to be servers in Swaziland. How am I going to configure my website in order to deal with all those things? Well, if you're building the infrastructure from the get-go, you're actually building all of the infrastructure, then that is very complicated. You have to deal with DNS settings, all that kind of stuff. But if you're watching Eli the Computer Guy, you're not going to have to worry about all those settings. All you have to do in order to use a CDN is normally buy a service. So there's companies out there, again, Amazon Web Services, if you're dealing with video, Bit on the Run, different companies, and they've already built the CDNs. So they've built all of this massive, insane infrastructure. And so what happens when you use their CDN, you essentially just get a web folder. You put all the data into that web folder, and then when users go to access data out of that web folder, then the content delivery network, that infrastructure, figures out the best place for the user to go for the server, right? So that's an important thing to be thinking about whenever you're thinking about these CDNs, is that they're not complicated for you to set up. They're a little bit complicated, right? Because you start thinking about it, you think about all these data centers, and you think about routing, you think about all this stuff, and you're like, oh my golly, I can't use a CDN, when in reality all you do is you go to Amazon.com and you pay $20 a month or whatever, you pay for the service, and that's about it. It's actually rather simple. One of the things that you do have to think about with these CDNs, and you have to be very careful about, especially if you're going to be using a company like Amazon.com, is how you pay for data transfer, right? So this is one of those things a lot of the consumers, a lot of the noobs don't think about, is that in infrastructure class, cloud computer, you pay for bandwidth usage. Now, it may not seem like a lot. It may not seem like a lot, maybe like 10 cents per gig, or, even 5 cents or 2 cents per gig, but it can really add up depending on how the data usage is measured. So this was something I ran into with Amazon Web Services back when I had to run my own infrastructure. So Amazon Web Services is very interesting in how they do their whole content delivery network, because essentially what happens is you only pay for the data transfer from the main server to all the geographic little satellite servers in the content delivery network. You do not actually pay for the data from those satellite servers out to the end user. So basically there's two hops. It goes from their main server to the satellite server, from the satellite server to the user. So you only pay for the data going from the one main server to the thing. The issue is, though, is that what happens is every time a user goes to access any file, that entire file is transferred from the main server to one of these satellite servers. Now, if you're dealing with small pictures, that doesn't matter. If you're dealing with pictures that are a meg, who the hell cares? The issue is all of my videos were like 2 gigs in size, right? So if I have one user that goes to a satellite server, he then tries to connect and watch one of my videos. He only watches 1 minute of the video, but the entire 2 gigs of video gets transferred to that satellite server. Now imagine back then, which was a couple of years ago, Amazon AWS, for their content delivery network, had 9 different server farms in the United States. So basically, all of those videos kept getting transferred out to all of those different server farms, and I got an incredibly big bill. Incredibly quick, because I wasn't really thinking about that. So that's going to be a very important thing for you guys to be thinking about whenever you're dealing with content delivery networks, is how is bandwidth measured and how are you going to get billed for it? Again, this is a big thing, especially when you're dealing with things like video files or any large files. It can really kill you really quickly. You look at it and you're like, that's not a big deal, until you get the $1,000 bill for data usage. So this is the basic idea, like I say, with these content delivery networks. The idea is basically you're thinking about a SAN, like a storage area network for the cloud, and then when users go to your website to access data, they will get pointed to the server that is closest to them so they can pull it down quicker. Again, as I will say, for most of us, this doesn't really matter. Again, if a CDN is built into the solution you're using, so again, like I say, Cloudflare, if you're using Cloudflare or something like that, and they have a built-in CDN, by all means use it. CDNs are a very good product. If you don't, though, again, you have a website like EliTheComputerGuy.com or GeekBrainDump.com or any smaller thing, don't really worry about it. Again, CDNs are one of those things. I don't know. They're a big buzzword. They're a big buzzword, and they're very popular, but unless you have a very large company, I wouldn't really worry about it a lot. So that's my thoughts on CDNs, and that's what cloud delivery networks are. Again, something very interesting to look at and something for you to play with. Take it as you will, but be careful of that bandwidth usage. I'm telling you, you think I'm joking there on that bandwidth usage. Bandwidth usage on cloud delivery networks can be brutal. Total Seminars, TotalSim.com. If you're looking for your A+, your Net+, your Security Plus certification, they have video training, practice test, exam vouchers, and more. If you are on the CompTIA track and you are looking for study prep material, study guides, that type of thing, take a look at Total Seminars, TotalSim.com, TotalSem.com. Altero.com, Altaro.com, if you're dealing with virtualization in a Hyper-V environment. So we're talking about Windows Server 2008 R2, 2012, and 2012 R2. Take a look at Altero.com. They have a number of Hyper-V backup solutions. They have the free version, which will back up to 2 VMs for free forever. They also have the unlimited version, starting at only $400 per host. I think this is a very good value. So if you are dealing with Hyper-V virtualization and you need a backup solution, take a look at Altero.com. NerdsWeCanFixThat.com. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, but you don't want to have to worry about coming up with a logo and copyright and trademark and all of those kinds of things, you may think about buying into a computer services franchise system. Nerds We Can Fix That is a computer services franchise system. They have 62 franchises throughout the United States. They can franchise in every state other than Hawaii. They also franchise internationally. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, you should contact them, fill out the information below, or give them a call. Again, as I will say, franchise systems are great for a lot of people, not so good for others. Always make sure to do your due diligence, but if you're thinking about starting a computer services company anyway, you might as well contact Nerds We Can Fix That to see what they have to say. Veeam.com, Veeam.com. If you just virtualized 100 servers and now you're trying to figure out how to back them up, they have solutions for ESXi, they have solutions for Hyper-V, and as you guys like, they have free stuff. So if you are dealing with a virtualized environment and you're trying to figure out a backup solution, take a look at Veeam.com. Spiceworks.com. These guys have the free network management software, the free mobile device management software, the free community with millions of users. So if you're an IT professional and you need support, Spiceworks is a great place to go. All of their stuff is basically free and just an absolutely great thing. Again, if you have any questions that I don't answer in the show that are technical in nature, we're talking about Active Directory synchronization between sites in remote areas. If you click on the link below this video, video that will take you to the Spiceworks community. They have millions of users there that will be able to help you out. So take a look at spiceworks.com. Plixer.com. Plixer deals with NetFlow analytics software. So NetFlow is a component of Cisco equipment that shows you what's going on at the network layer, what devices are talking to what other devices, what kind of network jitter, all of that kind of stuff. So Plixer has a free piece of software called Scrutinizer. Scrutinizer is a free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. So if you want to play around with NetFlow, if you want to see what's going on with the network layer and you have Cisco equipment, take a look at Plixer.com. Click on the link below this video. It'll bring you to this page where you can download Scrutinizer, the free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. So today's hands-on review demonstration is the Initech BP 2001 Bluetooth stereo speaker. So basically this is just a nice little speaker system for your tablet or for your smartphone using Bluetooth. Now what I like about this, unlike a lot of the different speakers out there, is you can actually kind of like slot your tablet onto this thing, so it seems like one unit. So it's all like right there in one place. So if we go over to my little demo area, I can kind of show you what's going on here. So basically, you know, this is Initech, and this is what it is. So this is the little speaker system. So it's got a battery in there. It's got the microphone and all that, so you can take you know, calls and all that kind of stuff with it. And basically this is all we're dealing with. It's basically a nice little generic speaker stand. So all you do is you can pop out this little stand thing in the back, and then you can take whatever tablet you have, and just slot it in there. So it uses Bluetooth for the connection. So whether you have a Lenovo Android tablet or you have an iPad, whatever you have, you can connect to it using Bluetooth, and away you go. You can play music and movies and all that kind of stuff. The speakers on this thing is very good. It is very loud. It's definitely a lot louder than the built-in ones. Sounds good to me. The microphone sounds good to me. The battery time, I haven't run out of the battery time. I'm not sure how long it is, but it works really well. So basically this is just a nice little thing. Now what I would like you to think about from an overall concept in technology is the fact that many of these speakers now are using simply Bluetooth and not using proprietary connectors anymore. It's interesting how life goes. You know, if you look at it like 3 or 4 years ago, all of these speaker systems, all of these kind of accessories used the proprietary connectors. So it would either be micro USB if it was for an Android device, or if you're using iPhones or whatever, it would be Lightning or that old 30-pin connector. What's curious is everything now seems to be going to Bluetooth. So these accessories, you know, they can work with Android devices, or they can work with iPads, or they can work with the BlackBerry tablet, I guess, if you really wanted to. So again, just one of those kind of curious things. If you're interested in this guy, you know, it's an overall decent quality little speaker system. You can go to Initech, INATECK.com, and you can go to the Bluetooth speakers and take a look. The thing with Initech, I mean, this is all pretty inexpensive type stuff. Pretty good, you know, good quality, but inexpensive. And so if you're looking at these guys, you know, it's only $30 and free shipping. At it says originally the price was $60. Like, I don't know about that. I like Initech. Initech actually sent me quite a few things, and they're decent. They're decent equipment, but I'm not sure I'd spend $60 on it. But at $30 with free shipping, that definitely is a good price if you're just looking for a basic thing. So that's really all it is today. So it's the Initech INATECK Bluetooth little speaker stand. Again, for what it is, I give it a thumbs up. It comes in at the right price point. So it's a for $30. It's a very good little thing. So take a look at the Initech speaker thing. So this question comes from Ha B, and the language of it is a little garbled. It's not the greatest English here. One of the first lessons I will say for all of you folks out there is learn good English. Be able to type emails very well, because I will tell you, no matter who you are, whether you're American or whether you're Vietnamese, if you can type in English, your life has got to go a lot easier. So there's a good question here, but it's a bit of garbled English, and I would tell all of you all of you ESL, English as a second language language folks out there, really learn to type. Really learn to type in the modern world. Even if you can't speak, English very well, learn to type, learn to write English well, because it's just gonna make your life a lot easier. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I am trying to teach you guys, I would ignore anybody's email that was as gobbledygook as this. But anyways, basically what this guy is doing is he's starting a small business, basically selling websites. So I guess he's going to be building websites. And as I told you guys before, a good way to make money, or a good way to basically reinforce the relationship with your client is to sell them the web hosting service too. So a lot of people think, okay, I'm just going to sell the website to the client, throw it on their own web hosting program, and then walk away. But the cool thing is if you build the website for the client and you host it for the client, they are now tied to you. They can leave at any time. That's a pain in the ass, and so they probably won't. You know what I'm saying? So it's one thing to think about. A lot of people, I know a lot of real businesses out there, when you guys talk about, creating web design businesses, one of the ways that a lot of these businesses make a lot of money is basically they have like the maintenance contracts for websites. Instead of saying, we'll charge you $20,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 for the website, they say we'll charge you $100 a month or $500 a month or $1,000 a month for a contract, for a year contract. And so we'll initially build your website, plus we'll do all the maintenance, and then you end up making a lot more money. Instead of making $5,000 for a website, you're making, let's say, $500 per month, which comes out to $6,000 per year. They stay with you for 3 years. You end up making, $15,000 or $18,000 instead of $5,000, right? So his question then is, what is the best solution? So he asks about GoDaddy and DreamHost and HostGator and Hosting24, and then should you go with a VPS or a dedicated server or a shared hosting plan? Now, as far as who you should use for your hosting company, I'm not gonna get into that, man. You know what I'm saying? I will tell you, I personally use GoDaddy. I don't have a problem with GoDaddy. I've used GoDaddy for years, since like 2001. GoDaddy has had better times and has had worse times, but GoDaddy's been fine with me. So I'll tell you, I personally use GoDaddy. When I had the consulting company and we sold websites, and we did in fact host the websites for our clients, we actually used one-in-one. So I also like one-in-one.com. HostGator, lots of people love HostGator. There's a lot of solutions out there. Just kind of go find the one that you like. Any of these tier 1 hosting providers will be fine for you. Just figure out what you want. Then the question comes is, do you use a shared hosting plan? Do you use a VPS, a virtual private server, or a dedicated private server? And the question then comes down to basically the questions that you have to ask yourself is, 1, how important is performance to you of the website? And then 2, how much maintenance do you yourself actually in fact want to do, and can you do, right? So this thing is, if you use a shared hosting plan, the nice thing about the shared hosting plan is that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to maintain the MySQL database. You don't have to maintain antivirus. You don't have to maintain firewall. You don't have to worry about hard drives failing. You don't have to worry about processors failing. You don't have to worry about RAM getting used or any of that kind of stuff, right? You buy the shared hosting plan for X, $10 or $20 per month generally, and then away you go. So with shared hosting plans, most of these shared hosting plans right now, if you pay for the $10 or $20 a month level, you can host multiple domains on them, anywhere between 10 to unlimited. So basically you just create individual folders for the different domains that you're dealing with, dump the websites into those folders, do the DNS pointing to those folders, and away you go. So the good thing with shared hosting is it's really inexpensive. Again, $20 a month maybe for unlimited domains generally, and you don't have to worry about maintenance. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff, right? Then past that you go up, then you go to virtual private servers. That's going to give you more performance in some ways. It doesn't give very good I/O performance. Anything, if you're hitting the hard drive a lot, it's pretty poor on there, but anything that's CPU intensive, it should be okay. So you should get better performance out of a VPS, a virtual private server, but if you screw anything up on that virtual private server, it's your problem, right? If you configure the php.ini file incorrectly, if you do something wrong, that's on you. If you buy a virtual private server with only 1 gig of RAM and it's not using the swap file properly and it crashes your server, that's all of your responsibility, right? So VPS is the next level up, and then dedicated server. So dedicated server is what I actually run GoDaddy.com or geekbraindump.com off of, and that is where you get the absolute best performance. The reason is because literally you have an entire server for your website. So geekbraindump.com actually has like an entire server essentially dedicated just to it. So you get an amazing amount of performance out of it. But again, you are now responsible for it, and there's other issues that can come about. So like if a hard drive fails on my dedicated server, that can cause issues where I have to do maintenance. If a CPU fails, a CPU can still fail on a dedicated server. It's not my responsibility to replace it, but if that corrupted something, I will have to go in and fix some things. So these are the things that you have to think about. So basically with the shared hosting plan, that is almost no maintenance. Will give you is very inexpensive, but will give you the worst performance. You go with the dedicated server, it will give you the best performance, but all the maintenance is on you, and it's a lot more expensive. Again, at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you're looking for. I would argue if you're doing flat sites, so flat sites are like non-WordPress sites, non-Drupal sites, non-Joomla sites. You create an about.html, an index.html, a contact.html, and you put it there. Those are absolutely fine on shared hosting plans. If you're going to start to do a lot of WordPress sites, especially going to get a lot of traffic, I would say go with the dedicated server. But again, it just comes down to what you're doing in life and what you feel comfortable with. Or do you feel comfortable maintaining your own server? You choose. So the provider you use, whatever one you want to use, just think about that. I would say think about either the shared hosting or the dedicated server. I would say stay away from the VPSs. Virtual private servers are good for some things, but they're very specific. Like, they're not as good as most people think, really, at the end of the day. I would generally say stay away from the virtual private server, unless you really know what you're doing, unless you know you want that virtual private server to do a very specific task. I would say either the shared hosting or the dedicated. Which one you pick comes to money and how much maintenance you want to do. So this question comes from Gabriel G. I just had a client call me saying that one of his employees circumvented his group policy in Active Directory to prevent him from deleting his browsing history. The client came to me to ask if I knew of any good key logging applications, and I told him I didn't. After remembering something you talked about before in a video, I told him the proper response is to fire him, which he said he was, but is waiting on finding a replacement first. The client told me he is worried that his employee is leaking data from the company. His firewall lets him see what IP addresses users are going to, but not what domain names. I told him he would probably have to have software to inspect the packets to understand what websites he is going to and to find data leaking, but that is more enterprise oriented and I don't have any experience with those applications. Do you have any idea what I can recommend that he do? I told him that if he was worried about what websites people are going to, then a proxy would be the best resolution for web history. So yes, this is what we get into in the real world of technology. Again, everybody thinks it's all about Chinese hackers parachuting in or whatever, and in reality it's employees stealing data and doing something stupid. So basically this company, for whatever reason, has Active Directory and is supposed to prevent the users from deleting their browsing history, which seems odd. It's kind of like, really? Can you do that? Okay, that seems like a weird way of doing anything, but fine, whatever. And so I guess they're using this to try to track where their employees go on the web, to see if they're trying to give away data leaking, as this person is saying. So really, the only response here, to be honest with you, really the only response here is just simply to fire the person, right? That is what needs to happen. But again, what happens in a lot of business situations, this is what you have to understand from the business owner's perspective, is the business owner it's not easy for the business owner just to fire somebody. That's what employees think, right? The employees think, oh, the business owner wakes up with a hangover and people just get fired. That's not what happens in the real world. What happens in the real world is the employer is looking at this employee going, oh my golly, I need to get rid of this dumbass. But if I get rid of this dumbass, they actually are doing something for the company, and therefore that will cause problems. Therefore, I need to find a replacement. Mess. And so the issue then comes is this employee, basically what this guy's saying is that he's somehow stealing or giving away data, and what are you going to do about it? And I would argue there's probably not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it, especially if this person is smart enough to be able to circumvent Active Directory. You know, one of the things you have to realize about security, especially in the business world, is security is one of those, it's like an agreed upon thing. Like, a lot of security isn't nearly as good as everybody thinks it is. It's just kind of like the security people or the bosses say their security policies, and then the employees go along with it, and then it all works out. But realistically, as soon as the employees want to start getting around it, they can do it in a heartbeat. So it's very difficult to keep employees from getting around things, because basically, like with this, you know, if they're getting out to certain websites, they can use proxy servers, they can use VPN servers, they can use portable stuff. There's all kinds of weird, wacky things that they can do. So if he's really going to spend some money on this, you can take a look at something called OpenDNS. I like OpenDNS. The problem is nowadays, especially for businesses, it gets a little expensive. It used to be pretty inexpensive, and now it's expensive. But OpenDNS is basically a DNS service to allow you to try to block websites and that kind of thing. So basically, it uses DNS to actually block things. So when you try to go to www.myporn.com, instead of actually resolving to the proper IP address, it resolves to something else, and you can't actually get there. So I would argue probably the easiest thing here is to deal with OpenDNS. But realistically, what's probably going to happen is the boss is just going to have to suck it up and lose the data. Really honestly, any solution that you would try to implement here is going to cost a lot of money. Thousands of dollars. Because even if you do something like you put in a proxy, so you can put in a proxy server, a Squid proxy server, and then use filters or whatever else on the Squid proxy server to try to prevent people from going to websites. But you have to think, you have to build even though Squid is free and Linux is free, you still have to build the server. You still have to take the time to configure the server. You then have to configure all the clients to use the proxy server. Then you have to set up all these filters, everything else. Again, if you're looking at a consultant, $100 an hour, it starts getting expensive really quick. So I don't think there's probably going to be any solution that they're really going to like. I would say take a look at OpenDNS. OpenDNS is good for blocking this kind of stuff, and it's really nice because since it's with DNS, you can set it up a lot easier. You can create the account on OpenDNS, then configure basically using DHCP or something like that, configure the clients to use OpenDNS's DNS server. That's pretty easy. Or you could use something like Squid proxy server, but Squid is going to take a while to set up, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass, and it's going to end up costing the employer a decent amount of money. I mean, really honest, again, even free, I mean, I would probably bill out $1,500 to $2,000 to put in a real Squid proxy server. Honestly, so the question then is, do they want to spend $2,000 on that project? You know, this is the horrible thing that businesses have to deal with. So really what you need to tell them is just fire the damn employee. Just get the employee the hell out of there. And then once the employee is out of there, what I would argue is then you should sit down with the business owner and then come up with an overall security policy. Again, whenever you're dealing with security, you don't want to do things piecemeal. It's like any other project in the world, right? The more piecemeal you do any project, the more expensive it's going to be, the worse the outcome is going to be, and the more just duct tape mess you're going to have. So really, with something like this, what you really want to do is you want to sit down with the boss, you want to sit down with all of the people that have power in the company, and really sit down and really design an overall security policy and then a security infrastructure. But that is probably something that will come long after this guy's gone. So just tell him to fire this guy, and then tell them to budget like $10,000 for security practices, and then sit down and come up with a real solution for them. So for the final thoughts today, I want to talk about why you should stay away from anything that looks like affiliate marketing in any way, shape, or form as a business owner. So basically what affiliate marketing is, at least in the web content creation world, is where we give you guys links, or we tell you guys about a product, and then you go and buy the product, and then we earn a commission off of it. So it's one of the things I don't do. I do not do affiliate marketing at all. One, because I feel like it's a slippery slope as far as you guys trusting what I say. And two, I think it's just a really horribly bad idea as a business owner. I'll let you guys decide which one of those things is most important to me. But basically, I find it bad on both fronts. You know, doing affiliate marketing, making a commission when you guys purchase an item, just seems like a really bad idea, because then that makes you always have to question, am I being really honest with you, right? If I make 10% whenever you buy a widget, then the question is Eli being honest? You know, with the little Initech speaker thing here, if I was making, let's say, $5 or $10 every time one of these things got sold, you would have to ask yourself, well, does Eli actually like Initech, or is he just saying he likes Initech so he can make his $5 or $10? So that's one bad reason for doing it. But the more important thing that I would say is comes from a business perspective of when you do things like affiliate marketing, you are taking where you make your profit and you're putting that control far too much into somebody else's hands, right? Because really, at the end of the day, all I can do is I can talk about a product. I can say it's nice and pretty and it works well and that you really should click on the link below. But that is where my control over that sales transaction ends. After I tell you guys about it, it's out of my control from there. So if you went onto the website and then the website was piss poor and you didn't purchase anything, well, that means I had done my job, but the reason that the sale failed is because the website was piss poor. Or you went to the website to purchase something and the item was out of stock. So let's say you go there and there's been a run on Bluetooth speakers for some reason and you can't buy it. Well, then I'm no longer making commission either. Or, you know, sales and support and all of that stuff. Basically, what I do from the affiliate marketing standpoint is I lose complete control over that sale. I can do my little bit, and then the people on the other side, if they completely screw up that sales transaction, I still don't make any money. So even if I do my job absolutely and utterly perfectly, I don't make any money. And I think that's a really bad idea. I want to be in control of the sales process. I want to be in control of selling the item to the person. I want to be in control of saying what the contract, what the deliverables are for the item, and then I want to be in control of actually making the money. So that's where, again, like I say, I do things like I sell sponsorships. So sponsors come to me, I tell them it will be X amount of money, I tell them what's offered. If they like it, they pay me a check, then and there. If they don't like it, then they walk away, right? The other thing with that too is then it means I know how much money I'm making. That's very important. It's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize in the business world is beyond how much money you make, you know, how much or how little, it's how stable the whole process is, right? If I make $2,000 one month and $100 the next and $5,000 the next and $200 the next, that's very hard to plan for. It's very hard to figure out what's going on. And that's what you get a lot of times with affiliate marketing. So let's say you're doing affiliate marketing, let's say for gadgets or something, right? And then during the Christmas season, lots of people buy gadgets, and so you make a lot of money, but then January comes and then you don't make any, right? That's a really hard way to do business. Whereas if you just have a set fee, again, for me, I have a sponsorship amount, they sign the contract, and I know I get that month in, month out. I know in September I get X amount of money. I know in January I get X amount of money. In December I get X amount of money. In July I get X amount of money. And that allows me to do things like plan, to buy to servers, you know, rent servers, to build infrastructure, to do all of that kind of stuff. The final reason that I stay away from things like affiliate marketing is because, frankly, it normally is best for the person who wants to do the advertising, right? Because one of the issues that you get into with the affiliate marketing is, remember, they only pay you when the client or the customer uses your promo card or code or uses your link. So if I click on the link, or if you click on the link on, let's say, my website, and you go to Amazon.com or Newegg.com and you buy the item, then I would make my little commission, 10%, $5, $20, whatever. But here's the thing: what if I say wonderful things? What if I say amazing things about Initech? Right? Initech is it's a pretty good product. Initech is a pretty good product, right? And then you just go to Amazon.com yourself. You then search for Initech, and then you buy the item. Well, you didn't come in through any of my links. Therefore, I did my job, and I advertised for the brand, for the product, but now I'm not going to get any commission. I'm not going to make any money because you didn't jump through all the specific hoops to get there, right? So these are all the reasons that I would argue most people should stay the hell away from affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing, commission, all of those kinds of things, really, they are for the birds. Now, if you are a salesperson, if you are just a dyed-in-the-wool salesperson, they can do very well for you. But again, like I say, a lot of us content creators are geeks. You know, we're geeks at heart. We don't sell all the time. Selling is not our job. And so the whole affiliate marketing game is very good for the advertisers. It's really, 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 really piss poor for us. So this is just one of those things that you should be thinking about. Again, this came up with one of my sponsors, and to be frank, it killed the business relationship. I mean, not from a nasty standpoint, but it killed the contract. They had been with me for a little while. They said, okay, we're no longer going to be doing the set fee sponsorship thing. We want to go to affiliate marketing. And I said, hey, good for you. I don't do affiliate marketing. And it really is. I was like, I am not going anywhere near affiliate marketing because I want to know how much money I'm making. I would rather go out and get a sponsor that is willing to put down the money every single month than have one of these things where it's like, oh, maybe this month I make $100 or maybe I make $500, or hey, maybe their website goes down and it screws everything up. You kind of get what I'm saying? So I would say from the whole web content creation world and all of that, stay away from it. Truly, just stay away from the affiliate marketing. Know what you're getting paid, and then that's better too. You know what I'm saying? It does a lot better, I would say, all the way around. So those are my thoughts. Again, like I say, affiliate marketing. And again, why I do these final thoughts is I am telling you the stuff that happens in the real world, and this really did happen. So we had a sponsor, and we lost the sponsor. Why? Because they had paid the set fee. They, like I say, they wanted to go to affiliate marketing. And I basically right then and there, I was like, no, no. If you want to pay me a set fee, I'd love to keep. Again, I have nothing against this sponsor. I think they have a good product. I have nothing against the sponsor, but it was like, no, we're just not doing the affiliate marketing. It's just, yeah. So there you go. Just some final thoughts for today. So I figured I'd give you guys a little update with geekbraindump.com. Of course, my new little baby is. I just wanted to show you guys this because I find this to be absolutely and utterly insane. So geekbraindump.com right now is up to 705 posts. As of right now. So it has 705 posts. It has 3 scheduled posts and 2 pending. So basically what that means is we have 710 posts that have been written for geekbraindump.com over the past couple of months, and so I find that to be absolutely and utterly insane. So I'm very thankful for everybody out there writing posts, contributing to the site, and I am still working, as you guys know, to try to make this thing bigger and better. So I just wanted to show you guys that because these are some of the numbers that I see every day, but I know you guys may not actually realize, and so I just wanted to show you there that this is absolutely insane. We are now officially over 700 posts for geekbraindump.com, and obviously keep growing. So I am excited to see what's going to happen over the next few months.